All right. We are here. We're getting started in this conversation. Maybe we'll play a little music just to give folks a chance to know that we are starting. Just like one song, two songs maybe, So yeah, here we are. My goal is to go live every Sunday at 5. I did have some issues just getting started. It like froze up and whew, child. But anyways, let me find, oh, this looks good. We'll play this. The delicious taste of crisp. Okay, not that, not commercials. We're not starting there. But yeah, I'm here talking all things foster care and adoption. For those of you who do not know, my name is Marika Goolsby. I am a former foster youth and adoptee. So when I was a kid, I was in foster care and I was adopted out of the foster care system. My final placement was when I was 3 years old. So basically I was born and I went straight into a foster home. And I was in several different foster homes, even a kinship placement with my grandmother for a little while, back with my mom for a little while. But my final placement was when I was 3. Now, that is the family I was adopted into. My adoption was not finalized until I was 12. So let's hear a little music. Ooh, that's loud. Okay, until some more folks show up. All right, I hope y'all can hear it. All right, so I'm going to share this to a group. So when you join anybody's live stream, share it out. That's the best thing you can do to support your host, is to share it out. All right, let's see. All right, we are sharing it out to all of the groups. All right, so that's good. And now let's go to here. Oh, well. All right. All right, so I have shared it out to the groups. Maybe I'll share it out again. Oh, no, that's okay. Oh, guest request. Okay. So, yeah, welcome in. We're having this conversation talking about all things foster care and adoption. Specifically tonight, we're going to be talking about that uncomfortable, strange space that a lot of adults in the system deal with. And I'm saying it don't have to be. It don't have to be weird and uncomfortable at all. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off and we're going to get into the conversation. So it doesn't have to be weird. It doesn't have to be strange. It doesn't have to be this weird, competitive tug of war, like really jerking the kid back and forth like they're a rag doll. That's what I experienced for sure. And so many other people with lived experience. Okay, that was strange. But anyways, so when I was in care, because my adopted mother had dealt with so much infertility issues and really wanted something that was hers, like mine. Talk about possession, possessive, controlling, ownership, and didn't really want anyone else to interfere with that, especially not my birth mother at all. So it was like they wanted her out of the picture as soon as possible. And that was to my detriment. And people, a lot of times that go into it with being possessive and having feelings of ownership and control, oftentimes only care about their experience and what they want out of the situation. And that is to the detriment of the child. Now, as an adult, what I have learned is that The goal of foster parenting is supposed to be providing a safe space for the child to be while the biological family is getting it together to be able to parent, to reunify. Reunification, family preservation should always be the goal for a foster parent. Now, I, for one, will be the first person to admit that all situations are not good for reunification. Sometimes biological parents, they have extreme issues with mental health, and it's like it's not going to get better anytime soon, and reunification is not really possible. And in that case, I believe that then the goal should be either long-term fostering or legal guardianship or permanent legal guardianship. And even in those situations, I feel like there should be an effort made to maintain contact with biological family, because biological family is more than just the parents. What about siblings? What about grandma? What about grandpa? What about auntie, uncle? Like there's more to biological family than just the biological parent. Now, when I brought up this before, someone was real quick to say, well, if this biological family was so invested, why didn't they take the child in? Maybe they couldn't afford another mouth to feed. That still doesn't mean they shouldn't have any access to the child. This is my belief. So when I was brought into care, like I said, I was in a kinship placement with my grandmother, and the social workers kind of set up all sorts of barriers for her to say, in order to get your granddaughter back, you need a bigger apartment. She needs her own room. You need a licensed daycare. Those are the two main things that they said was needed. And I'm not even sure what the other barriers were that they kept saying, no, now this, no, now this, no, now this. I know she submitted paperwork for at least 4 different licensed daycares that were not approved for some reason or another. But I think even with that, why couldn't I have maintained contact with this grandmother? Why couldn't I have remained in contact with my siblings who were in another foster home way across town? Like, if they really believed that my birth mother was unfit to parent me, why couldn't I have maintained contact with her anyway, even though I wasn't under her care? It's not like it was it wasn't an abuse case at all. It was a young woman who was in college, who was working part-time, who really believed that my 5-year-old brother was the man of the house and can handle things while she went to work. To me, that means you need free childcare, and you need possibly therapy, maybe even a parenting class, to understand a 5-year-old is not supposed to be like babysitting a 3-year-old and a baby under the age of 1. But that's why we were removed. And then, it's like, even with that, even with CPS saying this person is not a safe person because, she doesn't think clearly. She's like, okay, I got to go to work. I got to go to school. I got to go to class or whatever. I'm going to go to the movie with a friend. Little son, take care of the household. I'll be back. I still should have been able to have contact with her. That's what I think. I still should have been able to have contact with my siblings. But instead, because of Hallmark syndrome, which we'll talk about in another live, Hallmark syndrome is basically like everybody's infected. Most people are infected with Hallmark syndrome, and the idea that you're going to build your family and have this wonderful parenting experience with other people's kids. with other people's children, that you're going to take this child and it's going to be yours, and everything before that is erased and not important, which is not fair, because of course the kid is going to want to be like, where am I from, and who am I like, and why do I have these particular set of interests and these particular ways of being? And you know, it's almost like, let's just cut out nature 100%, and we're going to focus full force on nurture. So you're going to be what I nurture you to be, period. You're going to be like me because I want you to be like me, period. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So that's why I'm having this conversation, well, attempting to have this conversation. Hopefully people will join the live before the live is over, to talk about, why do you think someone who initially went into foster care with the goal being reunification, to work with this young mother to say, okay, I'm holding on to your babies while you get your stuff together. And when you do, you'll reunite. And since I've been doing live, I go live on TikTok daily, and I go live here once a week, but that's going to be changing hopefully soon. If I can ever learn and figure out how to do this multi-streaming, I'll be streaming on multiple platforms at the same time. That'll help me out so much with scheduling. But anyways, if that was the goal initially, how is it that you can allow yourself to become attached to the child to where you don't care about reunification anymore? I think that is the most cruel, selfish act that someone could do, to say, I'm going to take care of your child while you get it together. And then, I don't know how long the process takes, so many months later, a year later, whatever, then I'm like, mine. And you go away. I don't care what you got going on. You go away, mine. My baby now. I think that's like one of the worst things someone could do. But it happens so often where, and I've, like I said, I go live on TikTok daily, and I do talk to foster parents, adoptive parents, bio parents, as well as former foster youth and adoptees, as well as social workers, case workers, like teachers. And everybody talks about how, you know, it's not even human to take care of this kid day in and day out and not get attached. It's like, okay, and that's not your goal. Your goal is reunification, period. And I know I couldn't do it. So that's why I'm not a foster parent. I know I couldn't. Well, no, that's not true. If I were a foster parent, I would need to be fostering the mom and the baby together. Like, I wouldn't want to put myself in some situation where I become primal and I'm like, mine. Because I do feel like it's a primal thing to be like, okay, mine. But I don't know. I just feel like it's cruel. And then to even take it a step further, to be like, that whole entire family needs to be completely disconnected, wiped out, ignored. They no longer exist, period. Which is kind of sad to me, because the more that you know about the bio family, the more you're going to know about this little kid that you claimed that stole your heart and you wanted to keep. But there are some people that really believe like none of that matters, because I'm going to shape and mold you into my image. Because now they're godly, apparently. I'm going to shape and mold you into my image, and you're going to like what I like, and you're going to look up to me and me alone. It's just not. And anything different is going to be beat out of you. Anything that's not like me is going to be beat out of you and ridiculed out of you and strongly, put down. It's not cool. But yet, so many people say, for the betterment of the child. When research now shows that keeping the child connected to the bio family produces better outcomes. So external care meaning the child is being cared for somebody outside of the family, as in foster care, as in adoption, as in kinship care, or fictive kinship care, or guardianship, or permanent guardianship, or conservatorship. Like, there's so many other configurations for external care. But I feel like regardless of the configuration of the external care, you still need to maintain contact with biological family. And biological family is more than just parents. Biological family is more than just parents. But a lot of adults providing external care, when they feel like, oh, I'm attached, I want this kid to be my kid, then it's like all logic goes out the window. It's like, and then it makes me wonder, were you ever child-centered in the first place? Or were you always me-centered? And I also think that's like a matter of screening. That's a matter of screening. I think we need to get better at screening out people that are me-centered and not child-centered. If somebody tells me, Marika, I'm really thinking about becoming a foster parent, or I really want to adopt, my ears are like little antennas, are like little, like, disc, satellite dish, like boop, 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 boop. First question out of my mouth, why? Somebody says, Marika, I'm thinking about being a foster parent, I'm thinking about adopting. Why? And what my little satellites are listening for is, are they me-centered or are they child-centered? If they are me-centered, they're going to be talking about, well, I didn't get to have a child, and I always wanted to be a mom, and I wanted to have this wonderful, fun experience, and I always wanted to have my home filled with love and joy and giggling and the pitter-patter of little feet. It's all about them and their experience. I want, I need, I always wanted. And right away, I'm like, I don't think you should. I don't think you should. Because I haven't heard anything about this fantasy child that you're talking about. Now, if somebody says, I'm thinking about becoming a foster parent, or I'm thinking about becoming an adoptive parent because I want to provide a safe space for a child in need, a child that their parent hasn't been able to get it together, or they're in the process of getting it together, and the child just needs a safe place to land. Like, I want to provide that safe space for a child so they know that they have care and love. And, mommy loves you, but she's working on some things. Mommy loves you, but she's in rehab and she's trying to get her sobriety in order. Mommy really does love you, but she's trying to, work on her mental health. She's seeing a psychiatrist. She's getting stabilized on her psych meds, and then she'll be able to parent again. Like, no, you would not tell this to a kid, but these are the types of things that I'm listening for. Are you child-centered or are you me-centered? Because a person that is child-centered and really wants to do what is best for the child will not feel threatened by keeping the child connected to bio family. Keeping the child connected to their siblings, cousins, aunts, grandparents, godparents, their religious community that is connected with their biological family. There should not be some feeling of threat with that. Hey, Ocean, I'm glad you're here. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about if why so many foster parents, as well as adoptive parents, just say external care parents, they get involved in this ownership and control, and possessive mine, and everything before me doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, and I don't want it to exist, because that messes up my fantasy of me building my family. And I be telling people, foster care is not a family building tool. If you're going into foster care because you are building your family, you're going into it for the wrong reason. And I'll be the first one to say, sometimes there is no get back. There is no get back for the kid. And in those situations, yes, you're going to be providing long-term external care, but that doesn't mean you have to be extreme and say, no way. Oh, Ocean, yes, you can come up and chat it up. Oh, shoot, I did that wrong. You are approved. Wait. Unable to add guests. Let me try that again. Because, I love a good panel discussion. Oh, it says you're connecting. I hope. Oh, yeah, it says you're connecting. So cool. So, yeah, that is the topic. Like, in my situation, as well as, after talking to other adoptees and other former foster youth, like, they knew already not to even bring up their bio family, because it would be so upsetting to their external care parent. I'm going to say external care parent, because that could be adopted or foster or legal guardian, and or so many other ways to provide external care. Oh, Ocean, it said connection failed. Let's try it again. Let's see. All right. I'm also okay. Okay, so it says you're connecting. So hopefully this will work. All right, it says adding. So hopefully this is going to work. So yeah, it's like, people, stay focused. Stay focused. If you are a foster parent and your goal is reunification and family preservation, stay focused. And even if it doesn't work out, don't destroy those connections with the bio family. I love it when I'm in my TikTok live and I have foster parents come through that say, oh yeah, they're totally a part of our village. Because we always say it takes a village to raise a child. And then because of selfish reasons, I don't know, Ocean, it said connection failed. I don't know what's going on. But then because of selfish reasons, then it switches, and then all of a sudden everybody from the biological family needs to stay away because of that feeling of threat. I'm going to try to add someone else and see if that works out. I don't know why it won't let me try my computer. Okay, yeah, I don't know why either. I tried to accept your request. I tried to send you a request. But yeah, I love to have a panel discussion, and I would absolutely love it if, we had quite a few people on the panel. Yeah, so it's like, I mean, maybe there are other reasons. I know there are also some situations where parents aren't safe, like I'm talking extreme cases of abuse. But even in that situation, I think it's worth figuring out who in the bio family is a safe person. Who in that bio family is a safe person to maintain some connection with. That might be siblings. That might be an auntie, that might be a grandparent. And research shows it is better for the adoptee as far as our foster kid, as far as identity, sense of self, like knowing who I am and where I came from, to maintain those connections. And to not do that is pretty selfish and pretty harsh. Pretty selfish, pretty harsh. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can invite somebody else onto the panel. No, doesn't look like I can. All right. So yeah, I'm going to be here at least every Sunday trying to have a panel discussion. Hopefully more people will come. If you are in this chat or if you are in this live, please do share this out so we can get more people more people aware, more people knowing what's going on in child welfare. Let's see. Okay, did that work? Okay, it says adding you. It says adding. So hopefully it's going to work this time. Ooh, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Yeah, I don't know. It's still adding, so we'll see. But yeah, thank you for liking the live. I appreciate you. Please do share this out. I believe the more it's shared out, the more chances we have for more people joining the conversation. Thank you. Thank you for the hearts. The more people that join the conversation, the more we are going to gain some more clarity. And I think clarity is important for teaching people how to change, because the system, right as it currently is, doesn't work for the people that it's supposed to work for. It does work for the people making money off of the system, and that is a huge problem for everybody involved. And that's why I am here raising awareness, having the difficult conversations that a lot of people want to ignore or sweep under the rug. So I'm 50 years old and I'm just now strong enough to talk about my experiences in foster care and with being adopted. I am just now strong enough to talk about it. The things that I went through, no child should go through, period. And that is a huge part of the reason. Ocean said, I don't know why I won't let me add myself, but yes, everything you are saying is so true. Thank you, Ocean. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's about your number of followers. I know most of these platforms will only let you go live after you have a certain number of followers. So it could be that, but I don't know for sure because it's not giving me that information. So what was that? Oh, so what I'm saying is like I said, in the family I was adopted into, there was a lot of abuse. And that was why there was a need to isolate. You know how they say keep family business in the family, which means keep the abuse a secret. I can go live on my own page. Oh, then you should be able to join mine. I don't understand. I'm so confused. Oh, approve. Says it's adding. I don't know. This is strange to me. I'm kind of new with going live here, so I don't get all the ins and outs, but I'm learning every time. Yeah, I don't know. So it says it's adding you, but it said that last time and it didn't. So yeah, I'm just like trying to build my little wildflower team, as many people as possible. It's going to take, there's power in numbers, and it's going to take as many of us as possible to make a dent and change the system to work for the people it needs to work for. And that is, of course, children, bio families, foster parents, adoptive parents, external care parents, period. Like, the system is not working. People come into this with an idea, sometimes good, sometimes not good. Yeah, it says connection failed again. So I don't know why. Maybe when I'm not live, I'll be able to figure out what the deal is with it. I hope. And like I said, I'm live daily on TikTok, so you can definitely join me over there if you're on there, on that platform. So yeah, I just think it's one of the like cruelest things to go into it with the and saying out of your mouth, the intention is for reunification, and I'm going to keep your child safe while you're getting your stuff together so you can be able to parent, and then change your mind and be like, I'm attached to this kid now and I want to adopt. Because I do have TikTok. What's your, okay, cool. Yeah, it's Orphan Girl 75. Yeah, Orphan Girl 75. Yay. Okay. Um, and then you can definitely get on the panel there. We have panel discussions there every day. So yeah, I think it's the cruelest thing to be like, yeah, don't worry, go ahead, work on what you need to work on so you can be able to parent. And then, and I know for sure that my bio mom was sabotaged, just like my grandmother was sabotaged. And I think the sabotage really started happening when my then foster parents said, we want to adopt. You know, she fits in great with our family. She fits in perfectly with our family, and we're attached. And yeah, and then everything my bio mother did was sabotaged, because I was getting weekend visits at one point, weekend visits, which due to back-to-back phone calls, I mean, blowing it up. She's bringing her back late. She's late. She's late. She's late. She didn't bring all of her clothing. I know those are the two main complaints that turned my weekend visits into supervised visits. And then the supervised visits went away. Then we didn't even have supervised visits, because my then foster mother kept calling and calling and calling and calling with complaint after complaint. And I do believe once they made it clear that they wanted to adopt, my bio mom was sabotaged left and right. Because even though they went into it understanding reunification, you know, we've given her these few things that she needs to do, and then she'll get her kids back. That didn't happen. That did not happen. Next thing I know, it was like, oh, she lost her parental rights just because of time. You know, they say you have to meet these guidelines within, I believe it was a 12-month period, and sabotage after sabotage after sabotage. It was like, well, now you're losing your parental rights, so, and now your baby's available for adoption. Already knowing my then foster parents wanted to adopt. Already knowing. So like my adoption wasn't finalized until I was 12, even though it could have been finalized when I was, I don't know, how old was I? 5 or 6, when the parental rights were lost for my bio mom. But there's a very specific reason why it wasn't finalized until I was 12. We'll get into that on another live. But today we're talking about why, you know, we all agree, most people agree, that it takes a village to raise a child. But somehow, some way, people want to make up the village of just the people that they pick and choose. They don't want the village to include the biological family at all. When there is a sense of possessiveness and ownership and control issues, they don't want the bio family, because that messes up their fantasy of, this is mine and only mine. And yeah, it's just not right. It's not right. It's just cruel, 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 cruel for the bio family as well as the child. Like, I know for a fact my adoptive parents were not worried about how this was affecting me or how this would affect me later, because I was only supposed to see them as family and look up to them. Ocean said this happened to my brother. Wow. You mean as far as like being with a family that was possessive over him and um controlling? Is that what you mean? That's why I love a panel discussion, because we could just really be talking about this right now. And they often don't think about how is this going to affect the child. It's like their programming is supposed to be so strong that that you really forget that you had a family already. I was 3 years old. That's still little, but I knew who my mom was. I knew who my older brother was. I knew my older sister, and I missed them every single day. Ocean said yes, they wanted to erase his whole family. He was adopted at 10, 3 siblings. Right. And that's just unrealistic. That doesn't make any sense. Like, how am I, as a 10-year-old, supposed to just forget about all of that? Just forget those people and just focus on us. It doesn't make sense. But yet, and that's what I mean, it's almost like a primal animalistic way of being, to be like, mine and nobody else matters, only me, and really not think of anything outside of that. Man, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I know, you know, I think I know in a previous life, a previous life, a previous live, we talked about maternal separation trauma, and that is making maternal separation trauma worse. Let's see. Ocean said it's abuse because of the control. Yes, it's severely controlling, to tell you who you can think about and who you cannot think about, and who you can grieve and who you cannot grieve. I know I could not openly grieve or feel sad about my mother and older brother and older sister. Like, they would be so angry, especially my adoptive mother would be so angry. It was like, whatever I was feeling, she would just take it away. She would take it away. So it would often be like, if I'm kind of sitting around like, hmm, hmm, it'll be like, what's wrong with you? It's like, oh, I'm my mom. I miss my mom. Like, what? You're sad about her? Why are you sad about her? I'm the one that's here. I'm the one doing all the work. She's not doing anything. She's not here. If she wanted you, she would do what the social worker says to get you back. But clearly she's not. The proof is in the pudding. You're here with me, right? I'm the one doing all the things. I should be sad that you're thinking about her, and I'm the one here doing all the work. So I learned early on how to mask, how to pick up this mask and put it on my face. If I even looked a little bit sad, what's wrong with you? Nothing. Everything is fine. Nothing. Everything is fine. I learned that's the only response. Everything is fine. That's the only response that's acceptable. If you acting mad, you better scratch your ass and get glad, because I'm the one doing all the work. I'm the one struggling, trying to make ends meet and make sure you got food to eat and clothes on your body. Like, you know, almost every adoptee that I talk to are, and even mostly adoptees, like, you should be grateful that I'm doing all the things. Ocean said, breaks my heart how he must have felt. I'm so sorry you went through that. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I didn't know your brother, but if he was in a family with um, adoptive parents that were possessive and controlling, I can imagine. I can imagine how he felt to have your mind and heart policed in that way, because that's what it is. You know, for me to be like, I miss my sister, and be like, well, you're in this family now. Like, how is that a good, acceptable response? I miss my grandma. Your grandma's in Texas. How is that? How is that cool? Ocean said she had him write letters she never sent, then let him hold a copy of them to think we never answered. See, that to me is pure cruelty. I don't know. I don't know how to show the chat. Um, can y'all see this? Yeah, it would be nice for everybody to be able to see the chat, and then at least that way it can be more of a dialogue. Uh, mm, mm. All right, let me see. I'm trying here, y'all. I'm new. I'm new to it. So yeah, it's like very controlling. Like, I'm going to control who you think about, how you think about them, how you feel. So I'm controlling your mind, I'm controlling your heart. Because the only thing I want you to be sad and missing is me. Anything else is unacceptable. Who thumbs up that? Ocean saw it. Okay, cool. But yeah, can y'all put something in the chat? Because I want to see if the people in the live can see each other's comments. Yeah. Because, I don't need to be writing in the chat. I can just talk to y'all. And I wish y'all could come up on to the panel. Good evening, Carla. I'm glad you are here. We are just talking about parents that provide external care. So that could be a foster parent, that could be an adoptive parent, that could be a guardianship care parent, that could be a fictive kinship parent, a kinship parent. There's all sorts of configurations to providing external care. And my question was, what do y'all think or feel when an adult is so possessive and controlling, and like they don't want anyone around the kid, and they don't want the kid around anyone except for them, because they want this kid to only look up to them and that's it. Ocean said, I do kinship with my baby nephew. Nice. I mean, I love the idea of kinship care, because that way the child is still with their biological family. And at least you know for sure they have cultural mirrors, they have racial mirrors, and yeah, they get to participate in their natural family's way of, traditions, religion, or, all of that, instead of having to bend and contort and be what these new people want you to be. Ocean said he's going home January, hopefully. Bravo. Bravo, Ocean. And I'm glad you were there for him in his time of need. And that's the thing. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, for me, when my case first started, it was supposed to be for temporary. It was supposed to be very, very temporary. Now, when I first went into foster care, well, actually, the second time. So there's several different times. So when I was first born, I spent 3 months of my life in the hospital. I had paralyzed vocal cords and airways that were too small. Now, they say it was due to no fault of my mother's. It's just something that happens. And I even like did an internet search to see like what causes a baby to be born with paralyzed vocal cords. And it's like, nobody knows. It's a mystery. So anyway, because my bio mother had 2 kids already in the system, they immediately put me in a foster home. And after that foster home, I was placed with my maternal grandmother. But then because she didn't meet certain requirements, I was then put in another foster home. So it's a lot of movement, basically from 3 months to 3 years, a lot of movement. And what am I trying to say? Oh, I'm trying to say that all that moving around, it would have been better for me to stay with my grandmother, honestly. But they made it hard for her with barrier after barrier after barrier, and just moved me around, moved me around until I got to my final foster care placement. And even then, the goal was reunification, that I was supposed to be just hanging out with these people while my bio mother got her life together. They, and the funny, this is what gets me. We were removed due to neglect because, you know, she was young, she was a college student, she had a part-time job, and she really believed her 5-year-old son was the man of the house, and he could babysit, he could take care of his little sisters while she had to go to work, or while she had to go to class, or while she had to go to a movie with a friend or whatever. And one of the things she said then, and still says to this day, you know, life shouldn't stop just because you have kids. As much as I loved you all, I still had a life. Which to me, that is like error thinking. Like maybe you needed some therapy, maybe you needed some parenting classes, but we didn't necessarily, I believe, need to be separated. If the system put just as much resources and time and energy and money into keeping us together, we could have stayed with her. All she really needed was free daycare and maybe some therapy and maybe a parenting class or two. We could have stayed with our mom. But instead, they separated us out. And I was placed with my final placement when I was 3. And as soon as they decided, you know what, we want to adopt, that was it. And she knew it. She knew it. Because even after me reuniting with her when I was like 16, I found her and tried to connect. She said, I knew she was never going to let you go. She was never going to let me have you back. And the social worker was on her side. Ocean said, I have seen so many people steal children out of the system. It breaks my heart. They continue to make money off children being adopted out of foster system, out of the foster system. If they did more for your family, they failed you. Yes, yes, that is absolutely right. Because the thing that kills me is the reason they removed us, lack of childcare, lack of therapy or parenting classes, was not the thing they said she needed to have in place to get us back. And that's what people fail to realize. Like, as harmful as it is to the child, it's harmful for the mother. Like, because the way they did it, the way they removed us was so harmful and violent and invasive that she basically had a nervous breakdown. She basically had a nervous breakdown, lost her housing, lost her job, barely finished college. And then it was like, well, you need to have employment and housing for a year before you can get your kids back. And it's like, well, she had those things when we were removed, but somehow those are the things that is needed for us to go back when she had those things. Ocean said they do not help these parents at all. They break them till they can't keep going. Right. And I believe that is exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. All because my foster parents at the time decided they wanted to adopt. She's ours now. We want her for ourselves. And yeah, she was broke down. You know, trying this, trying that, trying everything, and it not being good enough. Like, yeah, well, you went to the parenting class, but you missed one, or you were late to three, so that means one doesn't count. Like, just all these things. It's like, okay, I finally got the job, but now you want me to be able to take off to go to this class. Now I'm going to this class, but now I'm at risk for losing the job. And like, yeah, it's kind of stacked against the bio parent. And like I said, I'm not even just talking about the parent. I'm also talking about the extended family too. Because, just this year in California, there's a law now, AB 562, that says when children are removed from their home, the social worker needs to spend the first 30 days looking for a kinship placement, meaning another person in the bio family that can step in and take care of the child. Like, that is a law now. Now, I'm real curious to see how it gets reinforced and how this is played out. But they say they have to find a qualified family member first. And if there is no qualified family member, then they need to look for fictive kinship, meaning someone in the community, someone from their school, their church, their community center, someone who knows the family and knows their culture and their background and all of that. Okay, let's see. Ocean said, if they want you to prove the impossible. Uh-huh. And it took me 4 months to get my nephew out of foster care. I had to fight for him. Wow, Texas. Wow, wow. Yeah. And I know some states, not all, some states, some counties have it to where that social workers do get a bonus for every child place, every successful finalized adoption. And I think, why are you incentivizing tearing families apart? And I know when I go live on TikTok, there's a few people in there that believe the system works exactly the way it was designed to work. It was designed to tear families apart, and that's what it does. In Texas, it is like this. Wow. And I'm like, then why are you selling lies as far as reunification and family preservation? To make money? Exactly. Yes. Yes. The things people will do for money, like really commodifying children. Like, we're still selling bodies, right? We're still selling human beings for profit. We just call it something else. We just do it under the guise of child welfare. In some places, they're changing the name to family welfare. And even in my state of California, they're getting rid. Yes. Ocean said, so sad, slavery. Yes. So even in California where I live, exactly, child slavery, child trafficking, they're trying to ditch the whole foster care, foster parent, and change it into resource care and resource parent. If you just change the name, that is not doing jack. Come on. You're going to just change the name, and that's supposed to be doing something. It's not. It's not. I need to see more changes than just the name. You can't just be like, exactly the same system, but we're going to call it resource care and resource parent. Yeah. The system is broken, meaning it doesn't work for the people it's supposed to work for. It only works for the people making money. And I do believe that there is power in numbers, which is why my goal is to build this huge wildflower team so we can do something about it. Um, we can do something about it. We can make demands by raising awareness with everybody that is a voting citizen, right? Because that's where our power is. That's where our power is. Uh, yeah. Hopefully, if I'm consistent, more people will join these lives. My name is Marika Goolsby. I'm a former foster youth. I'm an adoptee. I wrote my memoir about my experiences in care. Yes, make change. That's what we're trying to do. I wrote a memoir about my experiences in care. What bothers me is that my story is not so strange and unique, that it's actually more common than not. And it drives me crazy when people are telling me, oh, that's just one bad apple. That's just, no, 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 no. Stop giving me a barrel of rotten apples, telling me, pull your sleeves up, roll your sleeves up and fish around and find that one good apple and be like, oh, see, it works, it works. It doesn't work. The whole barrel is rotten. Maybe there's one good one in there. Maybe there's two. But for the most part, the whole system is rotten. Now, do we need to just tear it down and rebuild, or can we fix it? That's what we need to decide, and how we want it to work. So I wrote the book. It is available for pre-sale. I would love your support in getting your pre-order on. Click the link in my bio. It's called A Flower Called Orphan Girl. It's my memoir about my experiences in foster care and adoption. No child should live through what I lived through. We can't, but we can help the kids living it. Yes. Wait, we can't change the system? Is that what you're saying? That we can't change the system? Or we can't tear it down and rebuild? Or, yeah. Let me, clarification, please. Because, I'm a hopeless optimist. I believe we can either tear it down and rebuild or change it. Because I do believe that there's power in numbers. I am a hopeless optimistic. So yeah, please do share this out. Check out the link, order your copy, and we can tear it down. We have to. Okay, another one for the tear it down. All right. When you join me over on TikTok, the few people that are saying that will be happy to have another person. Meant to say can't. Oh, okay. Yes, power in numbers. Yeah, because this has been going on for too long, getting the same results. The same results. And that's another way you can tell that a system is not working. Just by look at the results it produces. You know, once again, people look at me and they're like, wow, you're doing so well. It's like, yeah, by the grace of God and grandma's prayers. Yes, by the grace of God and grandma's prayers that I'm doing as well as I am doing. And some people, they have no idea that I survived the level of abuse that I have survived. Right, right. I lived the definition of insanity. I lived it. And I'm 50 years old and I'm just now strong enough to talk about it. And I think that speaks volumes, that I survived this system and had to go through every type of therapy that you can think of, spiritual healing, prayer and meditation and journaling, and just everything you can think of, just to finally get to age 50 and be stable enough and strong enough to talk about what happened and how to prevent it from happening to somebody else. Ocean said doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. Exactly. That is the definition of insanity. Yeah. But you know what? Honestly, the people making the money, I don't think they are concerned with outcomes. They're only concerned with one outcome, and that's, how fast can I make these profits? And that is what we have to change. We meaning former foster youth, adoptees, foster parents that have been duped, adoptive parents that have been duped, because in order to participate in it, most of us had to be lied to. And I think we know there's a problem with the system when it's attracting so many narcissists and so many pedos. That's how, another way you know there's a problem with the system. And we need to screen those folks out. Like, if you are me, I'm going to have this experience and I'm going to be, you know, the person that saves the world, or at least save these kids. Mm-mm, mm-mm. This is not for you. This is not for you if that's how you're coming into it, where you just want all control. You want to possess mine like an object. I bought it, it's mine now. No one else can have access. Yeah. So yeah, I like I say, I have these conversations every single day on TikTok, and I talk to adoptive parents, foster parents, legal guardianship parents, other adoptees, other former foster youth, and it's necessary. It's a necessary conversation to have, because the truth of the matter is, when children are allowed to stay in contact with their biological family, they do better. They're already dealing with maternal separation trauma, but having that connection with their siblings, having that connection with their grandparents, having that connection with um, auntie, uncle, it helps. I didn't know you were on TikTok. Yes, Orphan Girl 75. Follow me over there. I go live daily over there. I have just started trying to go live here weekly. But yeah, I'm definitely trying to figure out how to go live on multiple platforms at once, because trying to schedule separate lives for all these different platforms is like, ah. But yeah, do follow me on TikTok, Orphan Girl 75, where we are talking all things adoption and foster care. Today on this live, we're talking about the maintaining that connection with biological family, and why that is so important. It is so important for cultural mirrors. It's so important for racial mirrors. It's so important for like continuing the religion they were born into a lot of times. But like I said, when you have an external care parent that is in it for themselves because they didn't get to have a baby that they always wanted, then a lot of times they don't want to maintain that connection. They only want it to be about them and only them. And that's what I grew up with. Like I said, I knew early on not to ever show anything other than fine, everything is fine, everything is good, everything is fine, because that's what was acceptable. If I said anything else, I had hell to pay. Like, how dare you be sad? How dare you be upset when I'm doing all the work and I'm doing everything for you? So many adoptees talk about, you should be grateful. You should be grateful because, and I grew up with this too. Nobody wanted you except me. Nobody wanted you, and I took you in. And that turned out to be a lie. My birth mother did want me. My grandmother wanted me. My aunt wanted me. My uncle wanted me. My great grandmother wanted me. The nurse at the freaking hospital wanted me. So for me to grow up hearing nobody wanted you except me is really harsh and damaging, especially when it was a lie. Yeah, especially when it was a lie. But I had to grow up feeling like, whatever they do, whatever they say, I should be grateful because they wanted me. When nobody did, nobody else did. I had paralyzed vocal cords. I had airways that were too small. I was, I had this health problem. So yeah, I guess so. If that's what I have to do to have a family, I guess that's what I got to do. Like, that's some serious manipulation of a little child who just wants to be loved and accepted. And then to like completely be cut off from all biological family because that doesn't fit into their fantasy and their narrative is, to me, cruel and harsh. Yeah. So yeah, I wrote my memoir about it. The link is in the bio. It is available for pre-order. Please do order your copy. I tell everybody, listen to those of us with lived experience. Listen to adult adoptees. Listen to former foster youth if you want to know what's really happening in child welfare, what's really going on. I have had people find out that I'm adopted and immediately, wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. And they don't even know nothing about it. But we're so programmed to think that adoption is a good thing. And, you know, maybe for some people that had good experiences, maybe it was a good thing. But most of the time it's not. It's not a good thing. Now, like I always say, I want to hear from all adults with lived experience, good, bad, or indifferent, because I think that's the only way we're going to get an accurate picture of what's going on in child welfare. We need to stop relying on TV and movies and basically Hollywood depictions of child welfare, because those depictions were made for entertainment purposes, not to tell you the real story in an attempt to improve a system. It was created for entertainment purposes. My memoir is not created for entertainment purposes. My memoir was created to inspire other folks with lived experience to tell their story, to educate people with no clue about the system, and to prevent children in the future from being harmed in the ways that I was harmed. That's why I wrote my memoir, and it took me years to do it, and it wasn't easy to do, but I'm so glad it is done. I'm so happy that it is done, and my story is out there. Somebody told me, as long as you are silent and you keep the secret, you're protecting your abuser. They're no longer worthy of my protection. They do not deserve my protection. I was also told, tell your story. It'll be healing for you. It will be healing for the person that hears it. So I really hope that is true. Ocean said, I'm praying for you. Thank you, Ocean. Thank you. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. They asked for foster parents if they would be willing to adopt just after 6 months of having a child in your home. That's like, how is that? That is already telling you we do not care about reunification or family preservation, because the foster parent is supposed to be a safe space for the child while the bio family is getting it together. Depending on what it is, 6 months may not be enough time. So to go into it and say, okay, foster parent, would you be willing to adopt after 6 months? Is like, what? I thought we're helping this young woman get her life together so she can get her kids back. Like, if I were a foster parent and a social worker asked me that, I think I would flash. I would snap. Like, are you serious? Um, Ocean said, it will, it's helped me. Oh, I'm glad. Thank you. And oh, I'm gonna mess it up and I don't like that. Bahia. Oh my God. Maybe I can invite you up. I could invite Ocean, but let's just try it. All right, I sent you a request to see if you could be on the panel. I love to have a panel discussion. Sometimes they even tried to tell me I had to agree or they would. Yes, I have heard about that, and to me that is bullying. To me that is bullying. And we just talked about a few minutes ago how in some counties that social workers are incentivized, like there's a bonus for successful finalized adoptions. So you know already if somebody is like, well, if you don't want to adopt, then I guess we'll just have to move the kid and find someone who will. You clearly just thinking about your bonus. Like, the social worker ain't even child-centered. The social worker is not even child-centered when, to me, they should be. It's like everybody goes into this saying, what's best for the child? What's best for the child? I want to do what's best for the child. And then at the end of the day, that goes out the window because now I need to do what's best for my bonus. Or the adoptive parents, now I need to do what's best for me because now I want to keep this child for myself, and completely disconnect them from their biological family because that interferes with my fantasy of this being mine. And that needs to be straight outlawed. To me, that needs to be illegal. Ocean said, yes, that did this about my nephew. They did this about my nephew. I told them that I will do whatever possible to help him get home or I'll keep him. Bravo. Bravo. And I think that, like I said, kinship care is so much better than just being housed with strangers. And someone said this in my TikTok live, probably last week, I don't even know when, that we grill into kids over and over, stranger danger, stranger danger, stranger danger, stranger danger. And then now, boom, I'm going to snatch you away from your family and put you with these strangers and expect you to act right and be a happy, well-adjusted little kid now that you're with these strangers. It doesn't add up and it doesn't make sense. Let me see. Oh, there's more. Okay. The caseworkers don't care about the kids, what's best for the bonus, what is best for their feelings. Right, right. Boy, do I have stories from the foster parent side. The system is, yes. Oh my God, I wish you could come up on the panel and speak. I really do. And that's what I'm talking about as far as like, it doesn't work for the foster parents because they're like, it sounds like being strong-armed and kind of lightweight bullied into adopting. And those are the foster parents that go into it really being child-centered, really focusing on reunification. It doesn't work for adoptive parents because everybody involved needs to be trauma informed and know about maternal separation trauma, and then often they don't. So they're like disillusioned with the whole situation. And then it definitely doesn't work for bio parents because bio parents are like doing everything they can in their power to try to get their kids back and being sabotaged left and right. Ocean said, yes, they try and hustle the family into doing their dirty work, lie on the stand and everything. Yeah. And that needs to be stopped. That needs to be stopped. That needs to be illegal. That needs to be straight up illegal. And the sad thing about it is, I also feel like people are bullied into silence. People are bullied into silence and feeling like this is only happening to me. It starts at the top. Yeah. Yes. Like all the way around, people are being lied to because there's another group of people that are making money, stand to make profits. And that's why I love my little group of wildflowers coming together, busting through concrete to make change. That's what we're doing. We are in the early stages of growing this movement of changing the system because it's not working. I mean, it is working for the folks making money at the top. Sure, it's working for them, but it's not working for the people it's supposed to work for. If it was working, my story and stories like mine wouldn't happen. It would be weird and unusual. Like I should be telling my story and people being like clutching their pearls, like, what the? Oh my God. Instead, I talk to other adoptees and they're like, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Yeah, that happened to me. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, I know someone who's been in 37 foster homes and had all sorts of abuse happen. And I know someone who was in like 50 something foster homes. And I'm just like, what? So many people. That's right, Ocean. So many people. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just, like I say, I'm gonna keep talking about this because I'm finally able to talk about it. I'm finally strong enough and able to talk about it. I moved 94 times total. Oh my God. That's too much. That is too much. And to me, that's proof of I was a runner though. Of course. Of course. Like kids know when they're being harmed. It's like I'll take my chances on my own. Like that should have been a red flag that there was something wrong with the foster parents. By the time a child got to me, they had been placed in about 20 homes and sometimes came with their belongings. Yep. And trash bags. Yes. Yeah, we talk about that over on TikTok. So yeah, if you have TikTok, please do join me over there. They move you if you run. Right. And if the place is a horrible place, why wouldn't you run? Like I didn't run because I was too scared. I was scared of going someplace worse. I was I was really like, really bought hook, line, and sinker that nobody wanted me, and I was lucky that these people did. So whatever they did, I had to deal with it and make the best of it. Ocean said almost every placement if they let me take my stuff. Yeah. You were a braver kid than I was because I was too scared. I was like, well, nobody else wants me. So, you know, and yeah, I got there when at the age of 3 and that programming started immediately. Y'all making me cry. I'm so happy you're speaking out. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Like I said, I have a much bigger audience over on TikTok, but I'm trying to build my audience here on Facebook because I have so many connections here. So many people that know me had no idea that I was in foster care or adopted. I wish more foster parents could see this chat. Well, hopefully more will join. Hopefully. I figure if I can be consistent and keep showing up, the word will get around that this conversation is happening. Yeah. Yeah, it's taking me that's what blows me away. That's why when I see the younger people talking about it, it just really makes me so happy. It gives me hope. Ocean said I was abused before a system though, so I truly didn't think they could hurt me any more than I already felt. Okay, I can hear that. Yeah, I was not abused until I was in the system. I was abused in the system. And like I said, sometimes in some situations of abuse, there is no reunification plan. But at the same time, does that mean the entire biological family needs to be trashed? Does it? Like, I know I should have been able to maintain contact with my aunt, uncle, siblings, um, grandparents. Ocean said that's so many cases. Yeah, yeah. And in those cases, I'm all about like, yeah, let's not reunite with an abuser for sure. But is everybody in the family an abuser? They never gave my family the option. You're right. And I think that's not cool. And, I've even had some foster parents in the TikTok live say that, they maintain contact, even if it's just like letters or birthday cards or holiday cards or phone calls or Zoom calls, like, video chat calls with family members that are safe family members. There are some safe family members. It doesn't have to be, you know, the uncle that abused you or the dad that abused you or the mother that abused you or whatever. They are stealing kids for things they do in their own home. I've had caseworkers cry to me about it. Whoa. Yeah. It's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us. And I'm, like I said, I wish I was stronger sooner, but everything in divine timing, right? CPS is corrupt. Right. Right. They make it impossible for kinship because it requires a foster care license now. Yes. To get foster care license, you have to have a perfect background that makes a lot of money. Okay, yeah. I know in California, like I said, AB 562 is a law that was just passed that says in the first 30 days of removal, you have to find a family member, kinship placement first, a qualified family member. And I was like, well, what makes a family member qualified? So I'm guessing they have to do whatever the qualifications are to be a foster parent. You have to be a licensed foster care parent first. Even to do even to do kinship or fictive kinship. I don't know. So yeah, I'm kind of speechless there because, like I said, I was wondering what the requirements are, which is interesting to me because I know in my case, there were only three major qualifications. One, do you have your own income? Two, do you have a large enough space? Three, are you willing to take the first aid and CPR class once every like 5 to 10 years? That was it. Let me see this. Ocean said, even the caseworkers see it. I had 19 caseworkers in 7 years. Oh, yeah. Oh, let's not even talk about the revolving social workers that I had. Yes, in Cali, you have to be a foster parent for kinship now. And is that one of the requirements under AB 562? Or Ocean, no, they make you become a foster parent now? Yes. So, yeah, I don't know if that is in place to make it harder or just so they can, in Texas, so they can treat you the same as they would any other foster parent, I'm guessing. Or even like strong arm you into adopting. That I could see being a thing. And for children under 12 months, you have to say you are willing to adopt. So that makes me think the whole bonus for finalized adoptions is still a thing. That's what I'm thinking. Because otherwise, why force requirements so you can then force adoptions without even talking about the possibility of guardianship or legal guardianship or conservatorship? Like, why force adoption? And possibly in another live, I'll talk about what's wrong with forcing adoption and what's wrong with adoption, the legal um the legal process, the way it's set up now. Yes, they make you. And then, yes, very much so. Yeah, the way the legal process of adoption is set up, I have major problems with it. We'll get into that in another live. But today we're just talking about the importance of keeping bio family and the child connected. Of course, safe bio family where it's appropriate. I'm not saying keep kids connected to abusers at all, but the entire family is not the abuser. And I know in another live, someone said like, generational trauma. So that made the other family members not seem safe either. But I still feel like even with like generational trauma, siblings, I mean, at the bare minimum, siblings should be relationship worth nurturing and keeping. And with your kinship, everyone in your home over 18 has to clear background, and that's an issue for a lot of families because it could be a crime from 1950s. Oh wow, they don't care. Wow, so if your grandpa has a record from way back when, they're like, nope. You know, if you have a multi-generational home like mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, then everybody has to be like free of any type of background. Doesn't matter if you're on parole or not, even if you've been off parole 20 years. Okay. So we have this law, but then we make it hard to do. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's cute. That's cute. And you know, when I first saw that, I was like, yes, a win. But then I was like, okay, how is this going to be enforced and how is this going to really be implemented? And now I'm like, what barriers are going to be put into place? What barriers are going to be put into place to keep it quelched down? Uh, Ocean said, so true. Literally almost didn't give my nephew because I grew up in foster care and my husband discharged by the court felony. Wow. Get this. I was homeless with foster children. What? I mean, actually, being homeless is supposed to not be a reason to remove a child from someone's home. So I guess that would make sense. You could be homeless with foster children. Even though, yeah, that's interesting though. Ocean said, so he was innocent. How? Awesome. Yeah, that's interesting because, you know, I don't know about all of the states, but I know here in California, they say being homeless is not a reason to remove children from their parents. So I guess that would make sense. You could be a foster parent and be homeless. But the mother had a home. Yeah. And even with that, they were pressuring you to adopt. That's, yeah, the system is like, what? What are you doing? Like, clearly somebody is thinking about their bonus right there. That is craziness. I agree. Wow. Yeah, that's just downright craziness. Mm. So, as much as let me see, not that particular set of children, but yeah, some crazy situations. Yes, absolutely. All right, so I'm gonna have to shift gears. Um, as much as I love talking to y'all, I have to shift gears. And in this live, we're going to be here, like I said, every Sunday starting at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. They don't care. They are doing what the top is telling them to do. Comply or leave. Right, that part. That's why so many people who go into social work with good intentions and really stick to that and really try to do what they planned on doing, they don't last. They get run out like after 2 years, 2 years tops. Yeah. So thank you so much, Ocean and Bahaya. I know I said it wrong. I apologize. But join me over on TikTok where we can actually have a panel discussion. I'm going to figure out how to do the whole panel thing here too. I'm only here Sundays. I'm TikTok live daily. And like I said, the book is available for pre-order. The link is in my bio. If you haven't done so, please do pre-order to show this former foster youth and adoptee some support. All right, cool. I'm glad. I'm glad of that. I'm there usually starting at 2:30 or 3 p.m. every day. and we do some marathon conversations over there. So yeah, I believe this is where it ends, and I hope to see y'all either here next Sunday or tomorrow on TikTok Live. All right, thank you for chatting, and y'all have a great night. Thank you.